Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. It keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Thank you for listening to the GSMC Music Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gaelika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music. Now let's get into some music news. A man has been convicted of third-degree murder in the stabbing death of a Nicki Minaj crew member outside a Philadelphia bar 5 years ago. Khalifa Neely, 38, was also convicted Friday of aggravated and simple assault and possession of an instrument of crime in the February 2015 death of Devon Andre Pickett. He will be sentenced on April 24th. Prosecutors said Pickett, 29, was preparing to go on tour as rapper Nicki Minaj's stage manager when he was stabbed outside a bar in the Germantown section of the city. An earlier trial on the charges against Neely ended in a hung jury last year. Another man, now 36 years old, Pierce Boykin, was initially charged with the killing, but that charge was dropped and he was instead charged with aggravated assault after prosecutors said more evidence pointed to Neely as the killer. Megan the Stallion may be in the middle of a complicated situation regarding her contract with her label and the release of her new album, but it all boils down to a simple hashtag. Hashtag FREEMEG. The rapper shared on Sunday, March 1st, that she's running into an issue with 1501 Entertainment as she attempts to release new music off her forthcoming album, Sugar. In a live Instagram video, Megan explained her side of the story. When she signed a management deal with Roc Nation, they brought certain details to her attention about the initial deal she signed with 1501 when she first started out. She says, "I was like 20, and I didn't know everything that was in that contract," she said. "So when I got with Roc Nation, I got management, real lawyers. They were like, 'Do you know that this is in your contract?' And I was like, 'Oh damn, that's crazy. No, I didn't know.'" She goes on to clarify that she wasn't mad at 1501 and didn't disclose which aspects of the contract were problematic and wasn't looking to leave the label at first. "I wasn't upset," she said. "I'm thinking in my head, everybody cool, we all cool, we family, it's cool, it's nice. Soon I said, I want to renegotiate my contract. Everything went left. It all went bad. It all went left. So now they telling a B, she can't drop no music. It's really like a greedy game." So yeah, we've heard this story before. New artists get excited to be signed, but they have no idea what they are signing. It might be worth it to put your little pennies together and find a legit lawyer to review the contract before signing it. It will save you in the long run. That will be the perfect thing to crowdfund for. People be crowdfunding for everything. Going on vacations, if you're an artist, you're trying to get money to put together an album or to go on tour or something. How about you crowdfund for a lawyer to read your contract so when you actually start popping, you don't get screwed. So, but for fans like myself, this sucks because I'm looking forward to hearing Sugar, and I hope one day I will. Hopefully soon. Now, Katy Perry is giving back to Australia with a one-off concert in support of bushfire relief efforts. The fireworks singer will perform next Wednesday, March 11th, in Bright, Victoria for the state's firefighters and communities affected by the devastating fires which raged through the southern summer. Perry has named the benefit show Fight On. Tickets for which are distributed to emergency services personnel and for residents of fire-affected districts in the northeast of Victoria. Perry will arrive in Australia later this week ahead of her performance at the final of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2020 on Sunday, March 8th at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. The multi-platinum singer will perform during the tournament's finale pregame show and the post-match celebration. She says, as a native of Southern California, I know firsthand the devastation of wildfires across my home communities and was particularly heartbroken by the Australian bushfires, the pop star says in a statement. Australia has always given me so much love and support, so Fight On is one way to return that love and help provide a little bit of joy to a country that's given me so much joy. Now, did presidential candidate Bernie Sanders break up the legendary rap group Public Enemy? Some online commentators are jokingly calling Sanders Yoko. So here's the tea. Chuck D performed at Sanders' Los Angeles rally on Sunday. However, co-founder and hype man Flavor Flav wasn't down for the performance. That same afternoon, Public Enemy released a statement announcing it was cutting ties with the group's unpredictable hype man and co-founder, Flavor Flav, after more than 3 decades. So the breakup came after Flav protested Public Enemy's name being used in connection with the presidential candidate, calling it deceptive marketing. Ahead of the rally, Flav's lawyer in Las Vegas, Matthew Friedman, issued a cease and desist letter to the Sanders campaign, noting that he was definitely not appearing and that Chuck D alone could not speak for the group. Those who truly know what Public Enemy stands for know what time it is, he wrote. There is no Public Enemy without Flavor Flav. In response, Public Enemy announced coolly it will be moving forward without Flavor Flav. We thank him for his years of service and wish him well. Now, Public Enemy is moving deeper into a political year without him. The lack of solidarity between Flav and the group's activist impulse created an impasse. As Chuck D posted angrily on Twitter, if there was a money bag, Flav would have been there front and center. He will not do free benefit shows. Sued me in court the first time I let him back in. His ambulance lawyer sued me again on Friday. And so now he stays home and better find rehab. Damn, he dissed him with that rehab comment. No cap? Yeah, that was a cap. Now, I'm sure Bernie knows nothing about the legendary group known for their vocal activism. His team probably booked the free act. So no, Bernie didn't break them up. But it's sad that this crazy political season did. Honestly, I'm surprised Chuck D put up with Flavor Flav for as long as he has. I mean, Flav is a joke to me, and Chuck D has always been the serious militant one. They were definitely the odd couple. Now, a deluxe version of Mac Miller's 6th and final studio album, Circles, is due this month. The deluxe edition contains 2 new songs, Right and Floating, and will be available on CD this Friday, March 6th, before arriving at streaming services on March 20th. A vinyl edition of the deluxe album will follow on April 17th. Circles was released digitally on January 17th and was the most pre-added album in Apple Music history. It debuted at number 3 on Billboard 200 with 164,000 equivalent album units, marking Miller's 6th consecutive top 5 debut on the chart. Yes. I was wondering if we would ever hear all the new music Pop Smoke teased us about in interviews prior to his death. And we will, thanks to 50 Cent keeping Pop Smoke's memory alive. The hip-hop mogul has announced that he will executive produce an album from the late Brooklyn MC, which he was working on prior to his death. Taking to Instagram on Sunday, Curtis told his 25 million followers of his plans. I'm on the move listening to Pop Smoke. I decided I'm going to executive produce and finish his album for him. Madonna is back in the news again. Last we spoke about her, she was pissed that the curtain closed on her before she concluded one of her performances. Most recently, in an Instagram post on Sunday, Madonna announced that she had to cancel that night's latest Madame X show in Paris after suffering a knee injury after falling at a show 2 nights earlier. If only knees didn't twist and cartilage didn't tear and nothing hurt and tears never fell out of our eyes. But alas, they do, and thank God for this important reminder that we are human, she wrote. It's been a rough go for Madonna lately, at least injury-wise. She had to cancel 3 shows in Boston due to overwhelming pain. Also, per Billboard, Madonna also had to cancel her January 22nd and 27th performances in London as well due to injuries. She says, I made it through the show last night, but just barely because I hate disappointing. However, today, even I can set this broken doll held together with tape and glue needs to stay in bed and rest for a few days so she can finish the tour with a smile on her face and in one piece. Now, maybe it's time for the artist who is no longer like a virgin to retire. Or maybe be less physical during her shows. It's okay, Madam X. We all age. You just have to know when to sit down. So we'll take a break and return with new music and tour news.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Welcome back to the GSMC Music Podcast. I'm your host, Gaelika Brown. Now it's time for new music. New album releases, Bad Bunny, YHLQMDLG. I mean, why do artists name albums and have stage names that folks can't say or pronounce at first glance? Why? But he got an album with a lot of letters. The alphabet album, that's what I'm gonna call it. G Herbo, PTSD. He got some alphabets up in it, but not as much, and that's easy. We all know the acronym PTSD. Christine and the Queens, La Vida Nueva EP, and Lil Baby, My Turn. New singles, Lil Uzi Vert, That Way, Lady Gaga, Stupid Love, Bad Bunny, La Difícil, J Balvin, Rojo, Lil Baby, Live Off My Chest featuring Future, Janae Akeyo, Happiness Over Everything, aka HOE, featuring Future and Miguel. Folks love to feature Future. Just like Lil Wayne used to be on everything, now it's Future on everything. We got Party Next Door, Split Decisions, SZA and Justin Timberlake, The Other Side, Keith Urban, God Whispered Your Name, 2 Chainz, No TV, G Herbo, PTSD featuring Chance the Rapper, Juice WRLD, and Lil Uzi Vert. The late Juice WRLD still making appearances on new music. I wonder if there's going to be more. And Swale, Someone Said. Now, Lady Gaga announced on Monday the long-awaited release date for her 6th studio album titled Chromatica. The new project, executive produced by Blood Pop and Gaga, will be available to stream and purchase starting on April 10th via Interscope Records. The Absence of Presence will be the next album offering from prog rock veterans Kansas. The 9-song set is due out June 26 in time for the group's summer tour with Foreigner and Europe. Kehlani is done with her new album. After much anticipation, the singer revealed that she has finished recording her sophomore effort, which she calls her best work yet. Album done, Kehlani tweeted on Friday. A fan commented, Kehlani is about to drop the best project of her career, to which Kehlani responded, never lied. On to tours and festival news. Morocco's Oasis Festival is returning this September with a stacked Phase 1 lineup. The Taste-Making Festival revealed its first group of 2020 artists on Monday, with Black Coffee, Honey Dijon, Solomon, DJ Seinfeld, Ben UFO, and a flurry of other acts repping the best of the international dance scene. Oasis has become a favorite of the worldwide dance circuit since its 2015 debut and returns to Marrakech for its 6th iteration September 11th through the 13th. More acts will be added to the lineup in the coming months. Tenacious D will be hitting the road this fall and coming to a swing state near you. Jack Black and Kyle Gass will be taking the Purple Nerp tour, twisting hard to the left to Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. They will also be making special stops in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Donald Trump has proven to be the most divisive, corrupt, and dangerous president in modern history of this country, and we simply cannot stand for another 4 years of his administration. Now is the time to elect a real leader, they said in a statement. The tour is in partnership with 46 for 46, an initiative to promote voter registration, voter turnout, and civic action. The artist pre-sale starts on Wednesday, March 4th at 10 a.m. local time. Fans can get it by using the password colors. General ticket sales start on Friday, March 6th at 10 a.m. local time. Visit the band's website for more information on tickets. Ahead of opening some dates for Guns N' Roses on their summer stadium tour, Smashing Pumpkins announced they'll be hitting the road on their own, calling the jaunt Rock Evasion 2. The tour will start on April 23rd in Louisville and will run through early May. Those shows include a pair of festival dates at the Beale Street Music Festival in Memphis and Shaky Knees in Atlanta. Pre-sales for the shows starts on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you need to sign up for the Pumpkins email blast in order to get the password for that. The National have become the latest band to cancel concerts in Asia due to the coronavirus concerns. Much to our disappointment, in the interests of public safety, our March 17th and 18th dates in Tokyo have been canceled, the band posted on Twitter. They also added, "We look forward to returning in the future and performing for our friends in Japan." The National haven't announced any rescheduled tour dates. However, they did say that ticket holders can get refunds from March 3rd to March 31st and can reach out to the point of purchase for more details. Now on to the top 10 songs played in the United States according to Apple Music. Rowdy Rich the Box is still number 1. Psych! Finally! Someone knocked him off his reigning pedestal. The new number 1 is Lil Baby and Gunna, Heatin' Up. Number 2, Lil Baby commercial featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Rowdy Rich's The Box dropped down from number 1 to number 3. Number 4 is Lil Baby, Live Off My Closet featuring everyone's favorite feature, Future. Number 5, Lil Baby, Emotionally Scarred. Number 6, Lil Uzi Vert, That Way. Number 7, Lil Baby, Something to Prove. Number 8, Lil Baby, Whoa. Number 9, Lil Baby and 42 Doug, Grace. Number 10, Bad Bunny, La Diva Sale. Now let's compare that to the top 10 songs played globally according to Apple Music. Rowdy Rich the Box sits at number 1 globally, and only globally now. Number 2, Lil Baby Gunna, Heatin' Up. Number 3, Lil Baby commercial featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Number 4, Lil Baby, Live Off My Closet featuring Future. Number 5, Lil Baby, Emotionally Scarred. Number 6, Bad Bunny, La Diva Sale. Number 7, Lil Uzi Vert, That Way. Number 8, Lil Baby, Whoa. Number 9, Lil Baby, Something to Prove. Number 10, The Weeknd, Blinding Lights. So we see a trend here as I do this every week. When a new album drops, if the album is popping, like Lil Baby, or when Eminem dropped, like they're all over the top 10. And then after like that week, it goes straight back to Rowdy Rich all over the top 10. So let's see if that happens next week. Now, what have I been jamming? I didn't listen to much new music. I was all over that Beyonce Homecoming album. That album is a classic to me, and I can't get enough of it, and I hope I never do. Now, have you seen that viral video of the black gymnast from UCLA doing a floor routine to a Homecoming mix? It is so dope. And I had an acting audition this weekend, so it inspired me to listen to Bae to hype me up. So that's what I was all over this weekend. Now, since Young Boy Never Broke Again was all over these top 10 charts, I thought I would check out his Still Flexin', Still Steppin' album. And I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, he sounds like a lot of the new rappers, nothing unique about his flow, lyrics, and music. So after a few songs, I didn't feel the need to continue. Instead, I switched over to DJ Snake's Carte Blanche, which I'm excited to work out to. He has some great up-tempo tracks and cool features. I'm still working my way through it, so I don't have any standouts yet. Now, I've checked out some of the new singles I mentioned. I was surprised to hear the Backstreet Boys sample in Lil Uzi Vert's That Way. Who would have known 90s pop mixed with trap beats would slap? That Lil Baby Live Off My Chest with Future Knox 2, good up-tempo hype song. I'm not feeling Lady Gaga's Stupid Love, but despite having the utmost respect for Gaga, I haven't felt her music since her debut album. But man, I respect her hustle. And the fact that she wanted to be an actress but couldn't book gigs as herself. So she created her Gaga alter ego and went the music route and became famous AF. Now she can act her behind off and get Oscar nods for acting and win one for her musicality. Get it, girl. That 2 Chainz, No TV has the simplest Dr. Seuss type lyrics. But that trap beat bops so hard. Speaking of Dr. Seuss, I have never heard of Princess Nokia, but I'm feeling that green eggs and ham. She sounds like a female Chance the Rapper in that song. But because of that song, I downloaded her whole album. So I actually was listening to one of them. Homegirl has 2 albums that dropped in 2020. Like, it's March, yo. She had 2 albums that dropped. That's crazy. She is pumping them out. So I've been listening to that Everything Sucks, which is super like up tempo. Like I'm excited to work out to that one too. It has a totally different vibe than that Green Eggs and Ham, which is on a separate project I haven't gotten to yet. But it starts off, this Everything Sucks starts off with Harley Quinn. Oh my gosh, that's like a female just like give 0 F's anthem. So far I'm liking it all. It hella slaps. I mean, just turn up your volume and cruise to it. Now Keith Urban, God Whispered Your Name is a sweet love song, and the sap in me loves every lyric. Now we will take a break and return with music history with Public Enemy.
Searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Music Podcast. Now let's get into music history with Public Enemy according to allmusic.com. Public Enemy rewrote the rules of hip-hop, becoming the most influential and controversial rap group of the late 80s and, for many, the definitive rap group of all time. Building from Run DMC's street-oriented beats and boogie down productions, proto-gangsta rhyming, Public Enemy pioneered a variation of hardcore rap that was musically and politically revolutionary. With his powerful, authoritative baritone, lead rapper Chuck D rhymed about all kinds of social problems, particularly those plaguing the Black community, often condoning revolutionary tactics and social activism. In the process, he directed hip-hop toward an explicitly self-aware, pro-Black consciousness that became the culture's signature throughout the next decade. While Public Enemy's early Def Jam albums produced with the Bomb Squad earned them a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they continued to release relevant material up to and beyond their 2013 induction. Musically, Public Enemy were just as revolutionary as their production team, the Bomb Squad, created dense soundscapes that relied on avant-garde cut and paste techniques, unrecognizable samples, piercing sirens, relentless beats, and deep funk. It was chaotic and invigorating music, made all the more intoxicating by Chuck D's forceful vocals and the absurdant raps of his comic foil, Flavor Flav. With his comic sunglasses and an oversized clock hanging from his neck, Flav became the group's visual focal point, but he never obscured the music. While rap and rock critics embraced the group's late 80s and early 90s records, Public Enemy frequently ran into controversy with their militant stance and lyrics, especially after their 1988 album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, made them into celebrities. After all of the controversy settled in the early 90s, once the groups entered a hiatus, it became clear that Public Enemy were the most influential and radical band of their time. Chuck D, born Carlton Ridenour, August 1st, 1960, formed Public Enemy in 1982. As he was studying graphic design at Adelphi University on Long Island. He had been DJing at the student radio station WBAU, where he met Hank Shockley and Bill Stephanie. All three shared a love of hip-hop and politics, which made them close friends. Shockley had been assembling hip-hop demo tapes, and Chuck D rapped over one song, Public Enemy No. 1. Around the same time, he began appearing on Stephanie's radio show under the Chuck D pseudonym. Def Jam co-founder and producer Rick Rubin heard a tape of Public Enemy No. 1 and immediately courted Chuck D in hopes of signing him to his fledgling label. Chuck D initially was reluctant, but he eventually developed a concept for a literally revolutionary hip-hop group, one that would be driven by sonically extreme productions and socially revolutionary politics. Enlisting Shockley as his chief producer and Stephanie as a publicist, Chuck D formed a crew with DJ Terminator X, born Norman Lee Rogers, August 25th, 1966, and fellow Nation of Islam member Professor Griff, born Richard Griffin, as the choreographer of the group's backup dancers. The Security of the First World, who performed homages to old Stax and Motown dancers with their martial moves and fake Uzis. He also asked his old friend William Drayton, born March 16th, 1959, to join as a fellow rapper. Drayton developed an alter ego called Flavor Flav, who functioned as a court jester to Chuck D's booming voice and somber rhymes in Public Enemy. Public Enemy's debut album, Yo, Bum, Rush the Show, was released on Def Jam Records in 1987. Its spare beats and powerful rhetoric were acclaimed by hip-hop critics and aficionados, but the record was ignored by the rock and R&B mainstream. However, their second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, was impossible to ignore. Under Shockley's direction, PE's production team, the Bomb Squad, developed a dense, chaotic mix that relied as much on found sound and avant-garde noise as it did on old-school funk. Similarly, Chuck D's rhetoric gained focus, and Flavor Flav's raps were wilder and funnier. A Nation of Millions was hailed as revolutionary by both rap and rock critics, and it was hip-hop had suddenly became a force for social change. As Public Enemy's profile was raised, they opened themselves up to controversy. In a notorious statement, Chuck D claimed that rap was the Black CNN, relating what was happening in their inner city in a way that mainstream media could not project. P.E.'s lyrics were naturally dissected in the wake of such a statement, and many critics were uncomfortable with the positive endorsement of Black Muslim leader Louis Farrakhan on Bring the Noise. Fight the Power, Public Enemy's theme for Spike Lee's controversial 1989 film Do the Right Thing, also caused an uproar for its attack on Elvis Presley and John Wayne. But that was considerably overshadowed by an interview Professor Griff gave the Washington Times that summer. Griff had previously said anti-Semitic remarks on stage, but his quotation for the Jews were responsible for the majority of the wickedness that goes on across the globe was greeted with shock and outrage, especially by white critics who previously embraced the group. Faced with a major crisis, Chuck D faltered. First, he fired Griff, then brought him back, then broke up the group entirely. Griff gave one more interview where he attacked Chuck D and P.E., which led to his permanent departure from the group. P.E. spent the remainder of 1989 preparing their third album, releasing Welcome to the Terror Dome as its first single in early 1990. Again, the hit single caused controversy as the lyrics, Still They Got Me Like Jesus, were labeled anti-Semitic by some quarters. Despite all the controversy, Fear of a Black Planet was released to enthusiastic reviews in the spring of 1990. And it shot into the top 10 as the singles 911 Is a Joke, Brother's Gonna Work It Out, and Can't Do Nothing for Your Man became top 40 R&B hits. For their next album, 1991's Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Back, Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Black, the group re-recorded Bring the Noise with thrash metal band Anthrax. The first sign that the group was trying to consolidate its white audience. Apocalypse 91 was greeted with overwhelmingly positive reviews upon its fall release, and it debuted at number 4 on the top charts. But Public Enemy began to lose momentum in 1992 as they toured with the second leg of U2's Zoo Tour, and Flavor Flav was repeatedly in trouble with the law. In the fall of 1992, the release of the remix collection Greatest Misses as an attempt to keep their name viable, but it was greeted to nasty reviews. They were on hiatus during 1993 as Flav attempted to wean himself off drugs, returning in the summer of 1994 with Muse Second Hour Mess Age. Prior to its release, it was subjected to exceedingly negative reviews in Rolling Stone and The Source, which affected the perception of the album considerably. Music debuted at number 14, but it quickly fell off the charts as it failed to generate any singles. Chuck D retired Public Enemy from touring in 1995 as he severed ties with Def Jam, developed his own record label and publishing company, and attempted to rethink Public Enemy. In 1996, he released his first debut album, The Autobiography of Mr. Chuck. Again, these people, these artists and their titles be mashing up words. At first glance, it's like, what? Okay. Now, as it was released in the fall, because it's Mr. Chuck is one word, so it's like, okay. But as it was released in the fall, he announced that he planned to record a new Public Enemy album the following year. Before that record was made, Chuck D published an autobiography in the fall of 1997. During 1997, Chuck D reassembled the original Bomb Squad and began work on 3 albums. In the spring of 1998, Public Enemy kicked off their major comeback with their soundtrack to Spike Lee's He Got Game, which was played more like a proper album than a soundtrack. Upon its April 1998 release, the record received the strongest reviews of any Public Enemy album since Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Back. After Def Jam refused to help Chuck D's attempts to bring PE's music straight to the masses via the internet, he signed the group to the web-savvy independent Atomic Pop. Before the retail release of Public Enemy's 7th LP, There's a Poison Going On, the label made MP3 files of the album available on the internet. It finally appeared in stores in July 1999. After a 3-year break from recording and a switch to the In the Paint label, Public Enemy released Revolverlution, again, smashing these words together. A mix of new tracks, remixes, and live cuts. The CD-DVD combo, It Takes a Nation, appeared in 2005. The multimedia package contained an hour-long video of the band in London in 1987 and a CD with rare remixes. The studio album New World Order also appeared in 2005. The Special Projects album Rebirth of a Nation, an album with all rhymes written by Bay Area rapper Paris, was supposed to be released right along with it, but it didn't appear until early the next year. The Odds and Ends collection, Beats and Places, appeared before the end of 2006, featuring the single Harder Than You Think, How You Sell Your Soul to a Soulless People Who Sold Their Soul. They be having the longest titles. They either smash up their words or they have sentences as their titles of albums. Sentences. Arrived in summer of 2007. Public Enemy then, You Sell Your Soul to a Soulless People Who Sold Their Soul, ? Arrived in the summer of 2007. Public Enemy then entered a relatively quiet phase, at least in terms of recording, releasing only the 2011 remix and rarities compilation, Beats and Places, in the next 5 years. Then the group came back in a big way in 2012, releasing 2 new full-length albums. The summer's Most of My Heroes still don't appear on No Stamp. Again, here we go, another sentence for an album title. Most of my heroes still don't appear on No Stamp. And the Fall's Evil Empire of Everything. That's a less sentency, okay? Public Enemy also toured extensively throughout 2012 and into 2013. Their second and third albums were reissued as deluxe editions the following year. In the summer of 2015, the group released the 13th studio album, Man Plans, God Laughs. Not long afterwards, Def Jam released the concert set live from Metropolis Studios. Chuck D joined a supergroup called Prophets of Rage, named after a PE song, debuting a live set in June 2016 with 3/4 of Rage Against the Machine and Cypress Hill's Be Real. In 2017, PE celebrated the 30th anniversary of their debut album with Nothing is Quick in the Desert, a free self-released full-length. Man, that's a lot of history. I mean, after 30 years, you're going to have a lot of history. I was a kid when they were like poppin'. And I just mainly remember them from Do the Right Thing because Do the Right Thing played heavily in my household. And I remember, I don't know if it was a music video or if it played at the end of Do the Right Thing. I can't quite remember because it's been a while since I've seen that movie as well. But the image in my head, the visual I have in my head is PE performing outside, like New York streets on like a stage and like people in the streets, like a concert. And I just remember being a kid just jumping around, doing a Running Man and a Roger Rabbit to it. But other than that, I didn't really follow them. I mean, I was too young to be that socially conscious. And when I got to that point of being socially aware, I was listening to other artists that were more of my generation. But it's sad, the drama that they're going through right now with Flava Flav. But I mean, everything must come to an end. Things change, they evolve, they switch up. I think Flava Flav was kind of tripping by saying there's no PE without him. I mean, they described him in here as the court jester. So, I mean, he was the hype man. Anybody can be a hype man. And, I mean, they can replace a court jester. A court jester isn't even necessary. That was a gimmick. No need to do a gimmick now. But anyways, that's it. I'm out, y'all. I definitely appreciate you and your time. And thank you for listening to the GSMC Music Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Until next time, I'm Gaelika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.